down and listen to records. Smell the cover, read all the verses. Tell me about your favorites on Vinyl and Vision.
Hey folks, thanks for tuning in to the latest episode of Vinyl and Vision. Here we are with episode 118. Today's very special guest is Sarah Greenwell. Sarah is awesome. Absolutely love to death the music that she makes. She is the singer and songwriter for the bands Gymshorts and Greensleeves. If you aren't familiar with those bands, I think you should get familiar with them right quick. I will provide links in the show notes for ways to follow Sarah, both through Greensleeves and Gymshorts. But I really admire Sarah. I think she's an absolutely amazing songwriter. So those two bands are awesome in their own respects, similar because they come from the same person. Sarah has got a wonderful kind of quirkiness, a humor to her music, a catchiness for certain, and I find it really compelling. It's completely relatable. Like there's a lot of things there, and comparing that to the album that we were going to be talking about, an album that Sarah can cite as an influence on her. Girls album. The band is called Girls. The album is called Album. It's a great one at that. I mean, so I don't know. There's a lot of things to compare there, and I think that it's a great album. I'm very happy to have kind of dug into it and learned about it, and share some of those things that I learned about it with you listening and with Sarah, and it was just a great talk overall. So I don't want to make this too long, so I just want to say thank you for coming by and taking a listen. We really appreciate it, and all that we ask that you do here at Vinyl and Vision is do the liking, sharing, subscribing, commenting, rating, and reviewing on the internet. All of those things, they really help us out. We really appreciate it. And if you care to help us out in a more financial way, just visit our website, psychicstatic.net. By all means, make a purchase of anything that's on there. We have the bands that are on our label, their releases, we have the merch, we have the store, we have the record store that's up there where I have some of the things that I sell record-wise. There's also a link to my eBay store, which is where I do the majority of my selling, and it has a whole different list of things that are there. So you can follow that link as well too. I'd really appreciate it. And I thank you very much. Thank you very much for purchase in advance, and thank you for stopping in and listening. We really appreciate it. Enjoy.
How are you though?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Good.
It's very nice to get to meet you finally.
Yeah.
I feel like I've heard so much about you, and I've been listening to all of your music, so pretty big
Great.
fan.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Not a problem. Are you currently in New York?
I am, yeah.
Okay. So what is your Rhode Island connection? Because I know that you, for some reason, people connect you to being from Rhode Island, which is not necessarily true.
Yes. I lived there for like 6 years, I think, 7 years maybe. And I started the band in Providence, so which is kind of weird because I was living in New York at that time too.
Okay. How does that happen that you start a band in a city that you're not living in?
Well, I had a lot of friends in Rhode Island. I went to school in Brooklyn, and a lot of Rhode Island people had come to just kind of pursue their own band in New York, and I just started hanging out with them, and I really liked them. And then I would visit Rhode Island pretty often because they would go home a lot, and I would go with them. And I just had like a lot of friends there. And so after I was in school, I went to Austin for a year, and then I came home, and I would still visit very often to Rhode Island. And I just met some people, and they said, "Hey, you want to be in our band?" And I said, "Sure." But I didn't really play bass or anything. I just was kind of like, I don't know, I was in a very weird state in my life. But the people I met in that band, I started Gymshorts with one of them.
And this is in Austin.
This was in Providence.
Oh, this was in Providence.
After Austin.
Oh, after Austin. Okay, all right. That's weird. So, I mean, like, why were you doing so much moving around? Like, so, I mean, like, what was the impetus to move to Austin of all places?
There wasn't much. I went on a road trip with a friend of mine to Austin. He needed somebody to drive his car back there, and I said I would do it because I had never really been very many places. Like I hadn't been to the Midwest or the South really that much. And
Hmm.
so I drove his car, and he was from Austin, so I just stayed there. I don't know. I just like started hanging out there, and I was going to stay for 2 weeks, and then I just kind of liked it.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So, and that was what is that
That was
after New York, so after college was it or
yeah. So it's 2012.
2012? Okay. All right. Well, let's go back first because typically I like to kind of just get a feeling for who I'm speaking with as far as this like, what your background was like. So where were you like raised?
I was raised in Rockland County, New York, so about like 30 miles north of Manhattan.
Okay. So kind of suburby, upstate-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And from a decent home, like your mother, father in the house, stuff like that.
Yeah, they're great people.
Yeah.
I feel very fortunate to have a great relationship with them and feel like, I don't know, they did a really good job as parents, like being supportive. And yeah, I could probably cry talking about it, but
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Should I start there? This like that like so, kind of preparing for this conversation, listening to the record that you wanted to talk about, Girls album. Um, I was wondering, is it like this conversation could potentially get very heavy?
they could.
I mean, you think so? I mean, like, because this album is kind of a heavy album. It kind of hits
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
feels, right?
for sure. I mean, yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll save that for later. Um, so you're in upstate New York-ish, being grown up, siblings at all?
I have a sister, yeah.
One
She's
sister?
older than me, but only by 3 years,
3 years,
sometimes four.
sometimes four. Okay. Depending. I get it. Okay. So that's cool. Was she like an influence on you? Did she rub off on you well, or?
Yeah, I mean, she's really smart. She's really cool. She's funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you got all of her good qualities as well.
I hope so.
I think so. Um, so what was like music like in the house growing up?
So yeah, it's interesting. I don't, it's just, I feel like I see where you're going with it, but so I didn't really listen to music in my house.
Nobody
Um,
did either, like parents or your sister?
my sister did for sure, but like everyone listened to it privately. Like both my parents listen to music, and I'm often pretty surprised at how knowledgeable they are about music, but it wasn't on like in my house almost ever. And
W-
so therefore, like I sort of even now like I have trouble listening to music at home.
Hmm.
It's overstimulating sonically in certain ways. I really only listen to music in the car.
Huh.
Um,
Okay.
but I remember wanting to listen to music. I remember growing up and getting CDs, and like I had this like CD player that you could bring in the shower. But anytime I would try and put it on, it just kind of like disrupted the silence, and I found it to be overstimulating in my house. I
Hmm.
don't know what.
Weird. So there was like no communal stereo in the house or
I
nothing
mean, there
like that.
definitely was, but it wasn't often that it was on.
So
Maybe
then how like where were you getting music from as a kid then? Like what was your exposure to music like?
it's interesting. I really have no idea. I mean, radio and in the car, and I guess people talking about music, but
Yeah.
like I remember my sister downloading a lot of stuff off of the internet, my dad getting mad at her. Um, and then I remember having a period of time where I wanted to do that too, and I remember going to Tower Records and buying CDs. Um, but I really was only listening to them in the car.
Okay. Oh wait, so you just said something that kind of is telling. You're much younger than me, I think. So because you're talking about your sister downloading music, that wasn't an option when I was a kid. So when like what year is this like around the time that you're kind of like discovering or being curious about music? And how old are you at the time?
I have no idea, but I'm really bad at that kind of stuff. But
Okay.
maybe probably around fourth grade, third grade.
Okay.
And then maybe
Fourth
that's
grade.
too late. I don't know.
I mean, it doesn't matter. Everything is relative to the
But I'm
person.
35, so
Okay.
um
Yeah. So I got like 9 years on you. It's like a whole generation. But so that's weird. So I mean, so but would you say that your family were fans? I mean, you said everyone was listening to music. Are they fans of music?
yeah, I mean my dad has a huge record collection, but I never really saw it growing up. It wasn't until I was in high school where um I kind of started asking him about it, you know.
Yeah.
Um yeah, they're huge music fans. I remember like listening to Bob Dylan and dad in the car with my dad. Um and my mom really knows a lot about music. Like we watch Jeopardy sometimes and she knows all this stuff and I'm just like, how do you know this? But I guess she really listens to music in the car.
Hmm. Okay. Uh, that's weird. All right. So then what is the like what is your first introduction to music? I mean, like as a kid, like where did you learn anything, any instruments, take any classes or anything like that?
I definitely played the clarinet. As a kid I was in music as a kid.
You're a music
Um
what?
I was in musical theater.
Oh,
So
okay.
I was often in plays and um I sang in that. You know, I think that was kind of probably my first real introduction to it.
So singing.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I didn't get a guitar until I was like in high school and then I started teaching myself, but it was very infrequent. Um and then in college I kind of started more playing the guitar. And when I started meeting a lot of people who were in the scene, that's when I kind of started figuring out my own kind of musical taste, I should say. Because I think it
Hmm.
was very influenced off of what other people were saying with school when I was in high school. Like, I don't really think that I had so much of my own opinion on it. And then I started going to shows and I got really into finding new bands and just going to shows every night that I could. Um, and then the first band I joined was in Austin when I lived there. But
Yeah.
like during college, I would go sing in the subway with my friend.
Like busking?
Yeah.
Oh,
And I
cool.
really, so that was my first performance kind of experience that wasn't a play when I was a kid.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. So, so what would you say your first like album was that you bought for yourself?
Um, honestly, I think it's the other one that I said for this.
Was it Good
Um,
Charlotte?
hell yeah. I love
That's
it.
cool. And how old were you then?
I think fifth grade, maybe.
Fifth grade.
I had a lot of CDs before then, but I don't know. I can't really remember. I remember being really into the Warning album by Green Day too,
Okay.
which is, you
I
know,
gotta check
everyone
that
else
out.
like that's not the one that they were they were like
Well,
obsessed with
it's
too.
all relative to your to your age and like your
Yeah.
exposure. When I was I've got like I said I got 9 years on you, so I mean Dookie was the big one for me, and that was when it came out in '94, I think it was, right?
I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
horrible.
I think it was somewhere around there. But that was also the same time like Nirvana was still pretty big. I mean, I guess maybe it was close to the time Kurt Cobain died, but even it's still they were completely relative. Um, So yeah, I never got into Good Charlotte because that I think that came afterwards. I think that was probably around that time frame, right? Like 9 years after that, sometime early 2000.
I don't know.
Okay. Well, so then
That's the
no,
thing. Like I never knew any I still don't. I have favorite bands. I know nothing about them and I have never researched them. I couldn't tell you what they look like.
hmm
It's
that's
just
fine.
that part of it really never hit. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that it really has been something kind of like significant until recently. I mean, with the kind of like uh convenience of the internet, everything becomes searchable and everything's like kind of there ready for you. Um, you know, I know older generations will talk about how, you just kind of took a stab in the dark. You just like saw a list from like a record label that you heard about, and you're like, I'm just gonna buy whatever I can off this list and hope that it's good. Whereas like now you just look it up on Spotify or whatever and listen to it and be like, no, that's crap. I don't want that at all. But so your experience, I mean, it's fine. It's kind of better, right? I mean, to like not know everything about everybody, I guess.
Yeah. I should also say, I went to summer camp for probably like 13 years of my life. And I think that I learned a lot about bands and music from my counselors. And I would go home from camp and I'd be obsessed with these bands just probably because I thought my counselors were so cool. But I
Hmm.
think that definitely had an influence on my like initial musical taste.
Oh, okay. So they were kind of like your adult figures that were giving you stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Because no one in your family was doing it. Your sister and your parents weren't really, not really doing that.
Yeah, they were, but I don't know. I feel like I wasn't really interested.
Yeah. Would you say like, or can you think of like somebody that you feel was a gateway for you into like exposing you to music and kind of just things that you thought were cool?
Or like a specific person.
Yeah. I mean, is there anything that comes to mind?
My friend Francesca, my best friend in the whole world.
And friend from a long time, like since you're a young person?
Sonia, yeah, and they're still my best friends. It's like they were kind of have their finger more on the pulse, and definitely growing up, they were the ones to give me like mixed CDs, and we would share music with each other.
Oh, right. The mixed CD. Yes. You're
Mixed.
you're you're potentially wondering if we could do a mixed CD, which is a cool idea because I mean the importance of the mix CD is huge,
Yeah,
but that would just be way too much work for me, and I just
yeah.
can't handle that. Um, but the album you did choose, by a band called Girls, I knew nothing about them when you suggested it, and their album called Album, kind of complexing to a person that knows nothing about this. Is like, what Girls album? What does this mean? Is that a soundtrack? Like, I was really perplexed for a while because I couldn't even find it at first.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, like, the first thing I do is I go to Apple Music because that's what I use for streaming. And like, I type in girls and like all this weird like K-pop stuff comes up, all these like girl pop bands, and I was just like Motley Crue's Girls comes up. I'm like, this is not right.
Uh,
So, but I found it. I found it and I listened to it and I was just like, wow, this is a really cool record. So it came out in 2009. Where were you in 2009? What was happening with you?
I was in I think my second year at I went to Pratt in Brooklyn.
Hmm.
So, and I remember someone showing it to me, just that first song, Lust for Life.
Hmm.
And I remember just loving it. And then I listened to the whole album and it's just so good.
Yeah. I mean, but in your life, so you're in college, like, how does this record hit you at that time?
I don't know that it was so emotional to me, really. I
Hmm.
mean, it more just I really liked the sound of it.
Yeah.
And it felt kind of like old school kind of 60s, 50s songs, which I'm really into.
Yeah.
Um, and it just felt kind of fresh. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, so what were you listening to at the time, like prior to hearing this?
Probably a lot of Animal Collective,
Okay.
um, TV on the radio, Queens and Stone Age.
Hmm. Okay. So similar kind of like modern alt rock stuff.
Also, oh, Islands. I love this band, Islands, Hot Eye Heat.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. So that was kind of like your formative period of your life, like early college years,
I would say,
because
yeah.
then you picked up guitar around when after that, or
Well, but I had played it before then, but I I didn't really know how to play even bar chords. I taught myself mostly in the Greensleeves style. So a lot of finger picking, like pretty songs, because I got frustrated when I saw bar chord and I had to learn it. And I was, so anytime the song had like an F chord
yeah.
in it, I would just go, okay, I'm not going to learn this one. So stupid.
Huh.
And it wasn't until I, started Gymshorts that the person I started with was like, you have to learn how to play a bar chord if you're going to be in a punk band. And
Right.
true. And then they
Yeah.
did.
So when you say like more in the Greensleeves style, you're talking like acoustic guitar finger picking
Yeah,
thing.
like I would learn. I learned a ton of Sufjan Stevens songs, and that's really how I learned how to play guitar.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I find like that to be more complicated and kind of like harder to do than a bar chord.
Thank you. I agree.
Well, yeah, I mean, so you were kind of like priming yourself in a better way than just kind of starting off with bar chords.
Yeah, I guess unintentionally.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I mean, it's kind of helped develop who you are and what you do, I suppose. That's cool. Um, so let's see. This album, I think we're gonna go ahead and get into it because what I do is I basically go down the album track by track and I will, you know, figure out something about these songs and relate it to you in some way and ask you a question about it, okay? That's how
Oh,
I'm gonna do it. Um, so before I start talking about the album, there's one quote I found. This is from this is from Chris Owens. He's the primary singer and songwriter.
yeah.
Quote says, "We put a couple of songs up on the internet, and there was a buzz even then, people wanting to hear more. So it was like, we need to go all the way with this. And at that point, we still didn't have a lot of equipment. It felt important though, like we had to do a good job, but we were still in our bedrooms with used gear." That's Chris Owens from OC Weekly. So keeping this quote in mind, do you think the quality of the recording dictates the success of a song? Like, what's more important, the song or the recording of it?
That's a good question. I mean, I think both are important, but I mean, I'm kind of the mindset that I don't know. I try not to get too hung up on recording, but I'm learning to be more patient with it, and I'm learning to respect the process a little bit more and have more
Mm,
fun with it. But I do think there's a point that, yeah, I think some of my favorite recordings are lo-fi or, recorded in someone's bedroom. I think it could go both ways. I think too much production can ruin the essence of the song
mm,
for me, or I think sometimes I could be completely dissatisfied with a song I hear based on having heard an amazing recording of it.
mm. Yeah.
Thing. Like I actually struggle with that sometimes because I think there's two types of bands. There's a band that you go see um, live because their live performance reminds you of the recordings. And then there's the band that you go see live or that you listen to their recordings because it reminds you of, how they are live. I think that is more of like the type of band that Gymshorts is. I think we've, gradually gone to where I'm happier with the recording quality and I feel like it captures a bit of that energy, but I don't know, it's cool how a live sound can be completely different than
Mm,
or different versions of the song based on how you hear them can evoke totally different things.
yeah. Okay. That's cool.
Does that,
Um, what's that?
does that answer the question?
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Okay.
you got to the meat of it. Um, there's no right or wrong answer. Again, like that's all just kind of like I really I'm just picking your brain. I just want to know what the hell you think and how. That's kind of why I was just like, oh, this conversation could get like really kind of heavy because first of all, I've been just for some odd reason just feeling incredibly emotional these past few days, like over nothing.
That's okay.
No,
That
I know.
happens.
I'm just, but it's yeah, it happens. Like it's just music specifically. I mean, yeah, you must feel the same way where music can have a big effect on you, and like it's kind of hits you like out of nowhere sometimes.
Yeah.
Like my wife went out yesterday, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was yesterday, and she just messaged me. Like she sent me a picture. She went out with my son to go like thrifting or whatever, because that's what they like to do. And she sent me the picture of a record in a display case, like at Savers or something. And it was the back of the cover. And she was just like, does this seem interesting to you? And I'm like, fuck yes, yes. This is like that's the Meat Puppets Up on the Sun. I know that record.
Oh,
I know it by the back. And I was just like, I don't have a copy of that. So I was just like, yes, buy that, please. And and like I sell records and all that stuff too. And so I was like already on the computer, just like doing research on like records and value and stuff. And so she gets it and brings it home finally. And I'm just like, I think that's the first pressing. I think like that's from 1985, which is pretty cool. Um, and sure enough, it was. And I was just like, she just like handed it to me, and I immediately started to kind of like feel weepy because it's just like I was just like I got to put this on right now, and so I put it on, and the first song starts playing. I was like, she doesn't know anything about music. She only likes Fleetwood Mac, and the first song starts playing, and she's just like, "This is that album." I'm like, "Yeah." It's like, how? Like, why do you know that? She's just like, "You put this on this mixed CD for me, like when we first started dating." It's
oh,
just
cool.
like, oh fuck. It's just like now I'm really hurt.
Man, that's fascinating.
Yeah. So just like shit like that's been happening like for days now, and I'm just like, fuck. I don't know if I can handle this. Can I ask you, why did you choose this record? I mean, like you gave me a few options and I kind of chose it for you, but I mean, like what do you think about it is about this record that is like important enough to talk about?
I just think I was listening to it at a time where I was discovering my own musical taste. And I think that I really listened to it over and over again, which I kind of tend to do with whatever I'm kind of into at the moment. I kind of just I drive a lot and I like to listen to CDs. So
Mhm.
that was just in the road. It's just kind of an album that I've never really gotten sick of, and I always have really enjoyed listening to.
Yeah. Do you see the connection between like this music and what you ended up writing and like how you write?
I mean, not totally. I mean,
Not
pop,
consciously.
I sort of feel like uh I sort of feel like always struggle with that question. It's like the influence question, I think, because I kind of feel like everything in the world gets put into whatever you create.
Yeah.
I feel like comedy, I feel like I have things that I like, but I've never like intentionally sat down and said, okay, I'm gonna write a song that sounds like Christopher Owens or a girl,
Hmm.
it's not that intentional for me, but I think I just really appreciated the sound, and I liked his voice, and I thought he was cool. I don't know. I went to
Yeah.
see him, and then I thought he was really cool.
Yeah. Do lyrics like matter to you much?
Yeah, they do, but it's interesting. I've realized so for me personally, I want everyone that listens to my music to be the most attentive they've ever been, and I, when they're listening to my music, like or my lyrics, I should say. Like
Okay.
it's personally very important to me that people uh, appreciate our songs lyrically. However, I noticed that I know this entire girls album, right? Back
Hmm.
to front. I sing it all the time. I know exactly what all the words are. And yet I don't think I've ever really thought what any of them are about.
Hmm.
And I find that to be true with a lot of songs that I know. Like
Yeah,
I personally, as someone who really appreciate, I mean, that's not true. I think I've made more of a conscious effort lately to kind of pay more attention. Maybe I'm trying to put good karma out there. I don't know. But I think it's not often that I'm always so in tune with lyrically what the song is about, even if I know all the lyrics. But I
right.
can sometimes appreciate the lyrics, even if I haven't thought of what the song's about. So I'll notice a good line, or I like the way they form their songs,
Right.
even if gone deep on what I think they wrote it about.
Maybe it's more of like you're kind of taken by the medley of it or the melody of it more
Yeah,
so than like what's being said.
yeah. I think off also too. I You never really know why someone wrote a song, so it's more kind of about how the listener relates to it and applies it to their own life. It's kind of like
Right.
instant.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, all right. So,
What
because that's why I was kind of asking about this and why I was concerned about this being like a like a discussion because I mean, so you don't know anything about Christopher Owens and his background and stuff like that.
I have a slight understanding. I don't want to be presumptuous here, but I think there was maybe some substance abuse.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even more so than that. So he grew up in that cult group called the Family. Yeah, like so his parents were 60s hippies and they became part of that religious cult which has become known as the Family. I forget its original first name. I should have probably written it down. But completely like not so group. I guess that's fairly judgmental to say, but um but it's true. So he had a younger brother who actually died at 2 of pneumonia because this group does not believe in traditional medicine
Holy shit.
or modern medicine. So the kid never received treatment and passed away from pneumonia, which is not terrible. It's not something it should be fatal. Um,
Oh,
so yeah, the father eventually leaves, so he just kind of leaves the whole family. So he's left with his mother, who ends up being kind of forced into prostitution for the cult. So yeah, it's pretty bad stuff, really.
yeah, that's intense.
Yeah, it's very yeah, very much so. So he eventually kind of runs away, um, ends up moving to what was it, Saigon or something like that, to for like where sister of his was or something for a brief for like a year, or was it Japan? I can't remember now. Eventually makes his way to Texas. I don't know if it was Austin, but it was in Texas where he meets this millionaire. What's his name? Spencer White the Third or something like that, I think. I didn't write that down either. Oh well. Um, but so that guy kind of like puts him under his wing and kind of takes care of him and kind of provides the most stability he's ever really experienced up to that point. And he's like a, young teen at that point.
Well,
Yeah. So
crazy story.
yeah, I mean, and I'm not getting it completely accurate, but I mean, that's the gist of it. And so, I mean, there's a lot there.
That's a lot of milk.
That's a lot of
You like-
milk, did you say?
Yeah, you like that saying?
Oh, what is it? How do you, yeah, tell me about this.
So my friend Kate Jones came up with this saying. We're trying to get it spread across the world, so I'm going to
Okay,
use it. Make sure you include that.
sure.
Um, so she came up with this saying, that's a lot of milk. And it's like when someone tells you something that's heavy to process, or if someone's an oversharer just right off the bat, you can say that's a lot of milk.
Hmm,
Because nobody enjoys too much milk, right?
I don't
So
think so. Yeah, I can't.
I surely don't.
Yeah, no, it'll mess me up if I take too much. Small
Good,
doses. What's that?
great saying, right? You're
Sounds
gonna use
great.
it, right?
I might use that from now on. Yeah. A lot of
Right.
milk.
Yes.
I'll probably use that a lot on this show because I tend to get into a lot of heavy topics. So
Perfect.
yeah, this is a borderline therapy if you haven't realized by yet.
I like it.
Okay.
I've
All
been
right.
looking
So
at a therapist anyway, so
oh, you
maybe
have? I had one for a little while and then she kind of just like flaked on me, just disappeared. It's like this isn't gonna
well,
work.
that's inappropriate.
Yeah, I know. It's a little weird. We started at a bad time. We started like just before the holidays, and I was just like, I think I need to take a break because holidays are crazy, and like I'm not going to be able to designate time to this right now. And then it was like just never touched base after the holidays.
Oh, damn.
She ghosted me. My
It's a
therapist ghosted me. That's a pretty good topic, I think, for a song. I should probably write something about that.
great topic for a song.
All right. Well, so the first song on this record is called "Lust for Life." So I have this thing that I found about this song. It's a little bit lengthy, so bear with me. It says the inspiration for Lust for Life from Girl's debut single and the opening song on the album came to Owens very directly. His quote is that he says, Liza met with me for dinner, and I sort of asked, how are things? And she goes off on this rant of all the cool things she's doing. Her new boyfriend, her friend's beach house, getting drunk, going out with everybody, eating pizzas. She's going on, and I'm sitting there going, God, I wish this were in my life. And then it just clicked. I literally took a napkin off the table while she was going and I wrote down all the things she said I wish I had.
Well,
Yeah. Um, so thinking of that quote, do you think you're close to having all you want?
that's a deep question.
That's a lot of milk.
Yeah, I do.
That's great. I mean,
Pretty
because
close.
thinking about the creative process and like, writing music because that's what you do primarily. Um, like have your inspirations come from a lack of things or like trauma-based things like with Chris here.
I would say the Greensleeves songs are more a reaction to sad things
Hmm.
or trauma things. And I would say Gymshorts is more of things that make me laugh and uh, or things I'm angry about.
Yeah. Okay. Um,
But definitely with Greensleeves, it's more like, okay, I have to get this out so that I don't have to sit with it anymore.
hmm, that's your therapy in a sense.
In a sense, yeah.
Huh. That's interesting. I mean, because like I love both of the bands, by the way. Like, I connect to both of them on for different reasons. Maybe because of what you're saying. I love uh kind of quiet music that is emotional and kind of like evocative, brings, feelings out of you. Whereas punk music, which essentially is what Gymshorts is doing, the more kind of like chaotic and kind of silly and wild it is, the better. And that makes you kind of connect to that aspect, that kind of more upbeat, energetic kind of stuff in you, I guess. Um, have you ever considered like switching themes and being like, let's save the silly and the aggressive stuff for the quiet music, and maybe because I know that with like your newer single, um,
Love you, funny.
yes, Love You Funny, you do two versions of it where you do the punk version of it, and then the quiet acoustic
Yeah.
version, which I love. I love that aspect. I mean, I've been thinking about that myself for years now.
Oh,
Yeah,
thanks.
yeah.
Definitely, I've gone more like serious and vulnerable in Gymshorts. Like, or I've tried that with Gymshorts, but I guess I haven't tried so funny or with Greensleeves yet.
Yeah. Thinking about this album by Girls, I mean, do you think that it's more of a serious album or do you think it's more of a funny album?
I would say serious.
Yeah. But there's a certain like what I kind of like about it is that there's a certain amount of like absurdity to it. Like the way that um Christopher Owens kind of writes his lyrics, there's a lot of like there's a funniness about it, right? There's like a humor to it. It's like maybe a dark humor. And
Yeah,
obviously if you connect it to him and like, kind of realize that it's more of a biographical
I I'm curious. I'm interested to go re-listen now, having that background.
well, because it's funny, like in this song, Lust for Life, like how, like I shared this quote with you where he's kind of like saying how this is kind of a depressing thing where he kind of is hearing about all this great shit his ex-girlfriend is doing and how he kind of like wishes he had these things, which is true statement, and it's something that came to him that he saw as being real. But the way he just says it is just like what's that lyric? It's like, I wish I had a pizza and a bottle of wine. Like it's like that's ridiculous. Like who says that out loud?
Yeah,
Like, and like as far as like, kind of connecting to your happiness, it's like if I had all these things, I would be happy. If I had a beach house and like I could, have campfires every night of the week or whatever it is that how he sings it. It's like
yeah,
there's a certain absurdity to it.
totally.
Hmm. Okay. Well, let's move on to the next song, Laura. Now, even though this song is called Laura, uh, hence it puts it in your brain that this is the singer singing to and about a girl, Laura. Like that would make sense, but it's funny to me that I found out that these guys disbanded, like because one of them decided to pursue a solo career, and so the song to me makes me think about the relationship between friends and between possibly even the writing partners, between Chris and Chet. So I guess that drama that people can have within a creative process or even a business endeavor is what makes it appealing to work by yourself as soon as you can. Because things can go sour, and this song is kind of saying like I'm tired of fighting, and like can we just bury the hatchet, right?
Yeah.
I mean, actually, you said that you don't really pay attention to lyrics, so I don't know if.
Learning from you. I'm learning from you.
Okay, well, so is that like a motive for you to like work by yourself and to write your own songs?
Um, it definitely has been in the past. I think for a long time I was really trying to hold on to like having Gymshorts be, you know, the core four people, me and the three others, and I was putting a lot of time and effort into it, and um, certain, sometimes people couldn't do this or that because of work, and I mean, it was a totally different stage of the band when all that was happening. So, uh, but that's kind of what I wanted for a long time, and I realized kind of as it kind of naturally became kind of more just my project that it was actually really freeing in this way because I was kind of like, okay, I've put all this time and effort into this thing. I I'm gonna ask the people that, I have in the sphere to play first or whatever. But if they can't do it, I'm gonna go still. I'm gonna say yes to things, that I want to do.
Right.
And that part was pretty freeing. Um, I think for a long time I felt it was just I'm kind of somebody who values efficiency, and I think a lot of times I thought it was more efficient to just pretty much write the song by myself
Hmm.
and then bring it to the band, and they can put their own kind of spark on it or whatever, within their own instruments.
Right.
Um, and in a lot of ways for Gymshorts, that is still kind of what happens, and I like it that way. But um, I guess I've been doing a lot more collaborative writing over the past few years for certain Gymshorts songs and for other projects, and that's also felt interesting and cool and kind of opened my mind to something that I hadn't really experienced. I think there's positive, sometimes it can be very motivating to write with somebody else. Sometimes it can be frustrating.
Hmm.
So
Sure.
I think, and there's compromise and there's challenge. Like, I think sometimes I appreciate the challenge back to be like, come up with something better here, or
Hmm.
don't just go with your first, thing. But, um, yeah.
Okay. Well, so another kind of interesting aspect about this band, Girls, is that, it's the core members are Chris and Chet. Um, but they've kind of had a revolving cast. Like I remember seeing in one article that I was reading about them, Chris kind of saying he was frustrated. I think it was near the end, like where he was, kind of dissolving the band, where he was just like it was just incredibly frustrating for those few years that they were together to have like around like 30 people that have kind of come and gone from the band, like, just to fill in for gigs and stuff like that, and never have like a core group. I mean, so you don't feel any frustration by like, because I mean, you've also kind of had like a number of people kind of fill in and step in as the band needs to perform.
But I definitely feel that. I think sometimes it can feel very discouraging to be like, oh, I have to teach these songs again, or, I feel like it can sometimes I'm hesitant to, start playing new songs because it requires this, there's usually limited time to practice and it requires just much more. And I'm far away, so I usually end up driving to Rhode Island. It's just it does complicate it, and sometimes people can't do it, and then I get kind of sad because I really liked this version of it, or
Yeah.
but some parts of that have been. I'm like, God, I'm glad I wasn't in a fucking contract with that person. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, but like being in a band, there's no contract, I mean, people
Well,
do
there
it out
would
of their love. Yeah.
for sure, but if there I'm just, like if we were happened to be signed to some label
Oh
and
yeah.
it was a share, then you are technically bound to.
Right. Right.
It's
But
complicated.
yeah, I mean, I guess that's true. So you don't think that there's any like band in your near future as far as like, knowing like having a group of people that you're like, these are definitely my people.
I think there could be, but I think it would need. I mean, there are definitely people that I want to do that with. I love this current version of the band. Um, I think it would probably need to, or like I think it would require a more stable schedule on my part,
Hmm.
because I think I can't offer someone, okay, this is what it's going to be, this, and so everyone has their own projects and their own things going on, so it becomes harder because the opportunities are um, kind of sometimes last minute
Yeah. Right.
or more or infrequent. I don't know how to explain it.
Right. Right. Okay. Well, so I guess it's kind of nice to have a pool of people to be able to like piece together and when especially like in a crunch, like you get an offer within, a few weeks or something, some last minute gig or something.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, over like the past, I mean, Casey has been in the band for probably 6, 7 years now. Lucy's been in the band for about 2.5, 3 years. Dante and John kind of have been alternating, over the past year. So it's like those are the core people, right now, currently.
Hmm.
But, if for some reason they couldn't do it, there is that basic understanding that I would, if it was something that I really wanted to do, that I would kind of do it. So
Right.
it's more the vibe.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Um, let's move on to the next song, Ghost Mouth. So this one, I love this song, by the way. I mean, can I say this? I didn't have this written down here anywhere, but like first listening to this song or like this whole album, really, it kind of immediately gave me like a Rafe Rashid vibe. Do you pick up on that?
No, not really, but yeah, I guess I can totally see that. I
Yeah.
mean, love Rafa's music. I think he's an incredible songwriter, so that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, this would be like one aspect of something that he does, but it's just like I totally like kind of heard his voice coming through when I was listening to this for the first time, not knowing anything about the band.
I could see that.
Yeah. So, Ghostmouth, without getting too deep into the lyrics, I think the song is a humorous take on the feeling of invisibility. I mean, what did you call that? Like when you feel like you like no one can see you, like you're not noticed.
Loneliness, but
Loneliness?
invisibility is a good word for that.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, especially considering that the theme of the song being ghost mouth, it's like there's all this like talk about this kind of ghostly kind of apparition kind of feeling, it's just like you kind of don't fit in anywhere, like no one can kind of like notice you or anything like that. Do you think you started playing music so you could be seen?
I don't think so. I think I really don't even know where it came from. Sometimes I think about it, laugh. I'm like, I have no idea where it comes from. And it
Right.
doesn't feel like when I'm performing, it doesn't even feel like I'm myself. Like it feels like I go somewhere else.
Yeah. Weird. Okay. Because I mean, I've touched on this idea before, and like it's kind of weird, I think, but it's like, but as creatives, like what compels us to go out there and play music for whoever will listen?
We're all psychopaths. That's why.
Oh, right. Okay. That makes sense.
No, I think it's I think it just comes from I got something to say and not being afraid to say it or something.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely have always liked performing. I think that every artist kind of there's a part of it that is appealing to like or I don't know, I when I was in school, I always liked having the audience. I went to school for writing, so um I liked having like the studio class where we would everyone had to read your story and then critique it.
Hmm. Yeah.
And then I found it really hard to be writing and after school because I didn't have an audience. And like
Mhm.
it's intimidating to write it for yourself. So I feel like music was kind of an easier outlet in that way because it was publishing a book and stuff is really hard.
It's
I've
like a
learned.
like immediate response. You get like a kind of an immediate
Yeah.
give and take of less like, here's what I'm doing, and then the audience, applauding or whatever is kind of uh, a um a litmus test of like how good is this? Is this good or bad?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to be completely honest, I think I really started this band because I had joined a band while I was in Austin and I was dating the person in the band and I got kicked out of the band when we broke up and I was pissed.
Hmm.
And uh I had a lot of artist friends and people in bands and everyone was so talented and they kept being like, well, oh, we want to go on tour. I just felt like there was like this, we should be like huge and nobody knows us and why not?
Hmm.
And I felt like I had really encountered that a lot. And I was like, you have, doesn't happen for you, you have to do it. And I was like, it's probably not that hard. And I was like, I'm going to do it.
You showed them.
Well, not even that. It was just like, I don't know. I kind of wanted to just see what would happen.
Hmm.
And then it became kind of like this puzzle and this game that really was, I found very stimulating mentally, where like I was guessing people's emails and just trying to open everything. And I don't know, it was exhilarating.
Trying to figure out the business and how to break in.
Yeah.
And you did it for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean,
Try.
you're doing pretty well. I mean, you get some great tours and stuff like that. So I mean, you did something right.
Thank you.
You knocked on the right doors.
Proud of myself for sure.
Well, and that's an admirable thing too, because I mean, it's true. I mean, I can't speak for other people, but I mean, like, yeah, for the most part, I think you're right, where it seems like there's definitely a contingency of people that are, quote unquote musicians trying to make it that don't seem motivated or even think how, oh, there's like, oh, like you have to do something to get in there, not just like wait for somebody to come discover you and like, throw you a record deal.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And it's even more important to do shows than like to look for a label. Like
I
everyone
agree.
can everyone can put out music, and it's just like, and it's just as accessible for, you know, an independent musician to put up music and have it be discovered by an audience as it is, you know, being on a major label.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, minus the advertising and stuff like that, but I mean, realistically, if you're out performing for people and that's like who your audience is, like the people that are actually going to come out to see you, then that's more important than like what your numbers are streaming or what label is representing you.
I couldn't agree more.
Well, that's great. I mean, you're not doing bad there either. I mean, like most of your records like sell out now, or at least the last one did, right? The
Yeah, the Jeff Gordon one, yeah.
right, right. So that's pretty impressive too. I mean, that's kind of like
Uh,
outstanding. Like how does that even happen, right?
yeah, kind of.
Um, well, so congratulations in that case, as far as that story is concerned. You made me think of something. So I was asking you the question about like, you know, like what compels us to go out there and perform for people. Do you think it has anything to do with like something in your childhood? Like you said how like the first kind of one of your first kind of involvement in music was the musical theater as a singer, which I imagine you also did some acting in that as well.
Yeah, it wasn't very good.
Well, I mean, you were a kid, right? I mean, but that's like one of the things that leads into, or at least one of the things that like as a musician and a performer, you kind of have to kind of lean into is this like being a showman of some sort, you know, like performing.
Totally.
Do you think that might have had some effect on your desire to be a performer and a musician?
I think it really comes down to I'm kind of I feel very shy a lot.
Hmm.
Um, and it feels like I'm able to just access this totally different part without having to do it like socially, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's hard to say. I haven't performed for a while, so I kind of forget what that feels like.
Like
Um,
it feels like I get to kind of share my stuff in this way that's kind of uninterrupted and um sounds like narcissism probably, but it's like
well,
my thoughts and my opinions and my feelings in a way that feels in this way safe because it's like I said uninterrupted and I feel like I'm don't have to really fight so hard to
right,
understand the other social aspects of just like in conversation or something. I don't know
right,
how.
right. Plus, also, I mean, if people came to see you, they came to see you. It's not like you've already gotten past the point where it's just like, oh, I need to prove myself of some sort of thing, you know?
Yeah, I definitely think part of it is proving myself though. And I think I am driven by proving myself because I think like definitely starting in this band, I felt like people wouldn't respond to me if I used my name at the bottom because it's a very feminine name. I felt like I straight up wrote emails with like a man's name at the bottom originally because people wouldn't answer me.
Huh.
And I felt like I do feel sometimes like, I'll see people before the show and they don't know the band or anything. And then um a lot of times I hear like, wait, what? I don't know. They're like, oh, that was surprising or whatever. And it's like, I mean, I
Yeah.
just think that's kind of out of touch. But it's I do feel kind of like there's this anger behind it that feels like I have to prove myself or something. And it's
Hmm.
like, fuck you, I'm gonna.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I love that. I love
So it's
your,
like, oh, what do you do? The singer? And it's like, whoa, yeah, I can play the guitar at the same time. Can you believe it? Like nobody says that to men. Nobody says, are you the singer?
right. Yeah. No, I mean, you're right. It's kind of, a little, I don't know, unnerving to hear you say that because I thought we were kind of past that point a little bit. I mean, I know that it's still there.
More, I mean, I think sometimes people are trying to be kind, but they don't always realize that what they're saying is actually really loaded with
Right.
sexism.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's true. I mean, yeah, I guess they have good intentions, but it just doesn't come across that way when you really kind of like listen to what they're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry about that. I mean, but either
Oh,
way, you are still certainly showing them and kind of like doing what you're really what you have your heart set on, obviously. So that's great. Um, let's move on to the next song, Goddamned.
so
That fucking pop. I love it.
mhm.
You know what I'm
I know.
talking about?
Yeah.
Just like that. How do you what compels you to throw that in a song?
I think there's that line in the song. I have no idea, by the way, but is this song that says obsession is my favorite drug?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that line I really love.
Mm, that's a good one. What do you think he means by that?
I think just what it like that obsession is like addictive and
Oh,
it feels
yeah.
like a drug.
Right, right. Because I mean, the song is essentially is him obsessing about this woman, I think.
Yeah.
Um, I can't remember the lyrics perfectly right now, and I don't have them in front of me. So, but I think it's something somewhere around there. But but as far as like the structure of the song is concerned, like I found it like really compelling. Like it's very minimal. It's just like guitar and like that weird vibrator thing that I can't remember that name of that instrument that just kind of like makes that weird shaking vibration sound. And then like the throw in a pop, like just like to smack your lips like that and just
Yeah.
it's a crazy idea. It's fucking crazy. I love it. I mean, and so when I was listening to this, I was just like I was wondering like about you, like what made you think you could like well, let me start here. Let me say how do you write songs?
Um, Honestly, I usually write them in my head.
On guitar? You hear guitar?
Yeah, or I just hear the melody and then I try to put the guitar to the melody, which is psychotic thing. Yeah, I don't know. That's why all the chords are weird because I write them in my head and then I just feel like I have to go with them because otherwise it doesn't make sense in my head.
Right.
So a lot of random changes.
Hmm. Okay.
I just try to match the chords by ear to kind of what I'm thinking melody
Right.
wise.
Right, right. Um, well, so let me before I ask this question, what when did you start writing? Like when would you say like you knew like you were gonna start writing music for a band?
For a band,
Yeah.
the 2000 when I started Gymshorts,
Which was what year?
2012.
2012. Okay. So that's 12 years ago now.
Yeah, I mean, I'd written a couple songs before that, like pretty not well, but more kind of along the Greensleeves side.
Sure. Okay. All right. So
But
then
I thought,
what made you think you could write a song like when you first started? Like
what made me think I could write a song?
or even why? Like why write music? Like what was it for you?
I guess because I had gone to school for writing
What kind of
and
writing?
children's books.
Oh,
Well,
really?
well, that's what I went because I wanted to do, but it was really just the degree was for writing for performance media and publication. So
Hmm.
it kind of do a bunch of different things. Like mostly I wrote fiction there,
Yep.
but I did write children's books and songs and journalist stuff that I hated.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, it was mostly fiction, I would say.
Okay. And so you know, combining that with the music process and writing music, I mean, that's what you think in like kind of influenced your writing?
Yeah, or my songwriting, you mean?
Yeah.
I think um my songwriting was influenced by, really honestly, I think mostly things that I find are funny and things that I find are sad
Right.
personally.
Yeah. And so, but so like what, so like in 2012, before you start Gymshorts, I mean, what made you think you could write a song for a band?
I didn't really ever think about it. I just kind of did it.
Yeah. And you just decided, like, you found people that would help play these songs with you?
Yeah, well, I started Gymshorts with someone in particular who, happens to have become a very scary person to me. Who, there's some bad
Hmm.
shit. But
Sure.
yeah, we just started writing songs.
Okay. So now about your songwriting process, I mean, like one thing that I love that you do that is kind of comparable to what this album is like the honesty in a song. Like how much honesty do you put in a song?
A lot. I mean, I don't, I never smoke weed. I never, or like I hate weed, but it just is not good for me. I get really anxious. But so I guess like in the beginning it wasn't so honest because I was like smoke weed, but I just thought that that was kind of funny
Hmm.
because I didn't smoke weed. It was just kind of like it wasn't mocking other bands that were kind of in this realm because I actually really admired certain bands that were kind of doing that. But I think I was, I guess it was kind of like that. I was doing it because I thought it was funny because it was kind of like an ode to other people that were doing it.
Hmm.
I don't know if
Almost
that
like a
makes,
persona you're taking on.
yeah, but I mean, honestly, most of the songs are uh, uncomfortably honest, I would say.
Yeah. Okay.
Can't even really play Greensleeves songs live because I don't know, it's so overwhelmingly scary.
Because of the honesty factor, because of the kind of like intimacy of it.
Of all of it, yeah.
Hmm.
It's so quiet and like I don't know. I just get really nervous.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely feel the same way. Um, I that's why I can't perform solo anymore. I get terrible anxiety over the idea of even thinking about it.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, honestly, like I can't even like. There's some that like I don't know why it's so hard for me, and it maybe sounds like you're kind of the same. Where I can almost not bring myself to play a personal song, like a song that has any kind of like personal relevance, because I'll just fucking break down and cry, and I won't be able to
I
get through it.
yeah, I feel that.
Hmm. But yet we're compelled to want to try to do it anyway.
Well, I like to challenge myself. I mean, my whole life I feel anxious for a lot of different reasons. Like a lot of times it's easier to just kind of be like, well, I'll just stay in or something, or not go to this party because what if they don't answer the door? What if this, so
Right.
but I think I've learned that I need to always challenge that because otherwise I have nothing, I wouldn't do anything. I think
Right.
like by everything's a kind of a challenge. Like touring is insane. The idea of it is a crazy person thing to do. But
Mhm.
if I had never done it, it's like I would have missed some of the most like amazing experiences, I would say.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Um, with that being said, I would like to move on to the next song, Big Bad Mean Motherfucker.
I didn't even know the name of it.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's one of the first name that grabbed me really. I was just like, that sounds like it's gonna be an interesting
What
song.
song?
Big Bad Mean Motherfucker.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. Sample lyrics go, I'm gonna rock like no one ever told me to stop. Make you a believer I'm a big mad bad mean motherfucker.
I didn't even know he was saying that actually.
Really? Oh.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Like a lot of times I really am drawn to the like melody and I'm so like kind of lost in my own head that I'm not really paying so much attention.
Hmm.
But that's cool that he says that.
Yeah. Right, right. Well, do you believe in yourself as a big bad mean motherfucker?
Um, I've never thought of myself that way. No, I guess I could
No?
start.
Yeah, you
Um,
should start.
I guess I could be
Yeah.
some. I
Not
think
like not like in a biker kind of way, but like, you're badass.
thanks. Oh, see, I was thinking of it as like a mean person. I don't know.
No, I mean, because like think about this lyric. Like the lyric that's here that I have is just like I'm gonna rock like no one ever told me to stop. Make you a believer. I'm a big bad mean motherfucker.
Not true. See, I didn't even think about it when you said it.
Yeah, yeah. It's not like a vulgar thing. It's not like an aggressive thing. I think it's just like an attitude. Like I'm a bad motherfucker, right?
I'm realizing something actually while we're having this conversation. I think I I think I know why I am this way. I'm really a visual person.
Hmm.
And I think that when I don't see the words in front of me, I don't take them in for context for like context.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, it definitely helps. I mean, like when I do this research, actually, when I listen to this music, I'll try to at least once sit with the music and the words in front of me and kind of go through them.
Cool.
Yeah. But it's just for me as a stupid, like, journalistic thing,
And
research
I
bullshit.
just love the lyric books that like came in the CDs.
Oh, yeah.
This is
Do
the
you
best.
do you have a copy of this?
No, I burned this CD.
Okay, that's fine. Totally valid. It was a different time back then, 2009. It was like the Wild West, downloading stuff, Napster and stuff.
Oh yeah, I had all the torrents.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right. Well, first of all, I think you should start considering yourself a big bad mean motherfucker.
Right,
Um, because you're doing it, man. I mean, you're walking the walk, as they might say, I think.
right. Thank you.
You're welcome. So the next song is Hellhole Rat Race. So I think there's a lot of things I could say about this. I actually have this whole big thing I got from a magazine article I was reading. But I think the epitome of this song is like that one line. There's one line that goes, "I got a sad song in my sweetheart,"
Yeah, that's a sad line.
but it's relevant, you know? I mean, I like because first of all, this is kind of a sad song. I mean, it's kind of about trying to live before you die, I guess.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, it's just a long kind of drawn out, like almost anthemic, but kind of not quite. But yeah, it's really hits a certain nerve, I think. I think the strength of this song is the connection that it makes with the listener, as far as like what he's saying and kind of like, relating. The singer relates to the listener, I guess. Would you
yeah,
think that's fair?
yeah. I think that's fair.
Do you think about that when you're writing?
Um, yeah, I do. I my friend Virginia actually, I really love her for this, but a lot of times I'll show her song or she comes to some of the shows and she'll take notes and then we'll meet up after and or like whenever and she'll tell me kind of and I just appreciate kind of hearing a different perspective because you don't often get to hear what somebody else is kind of um thinking where someone else is thinking the song came from or what it means and stuff. And so
Hmm.
I think that has been kind of interesting. I guess that's kind of a side note, but yeah, I do think of it. Like I think sometimes lyrically I'll try to write something in an interesting way that, is very reflective of what I've experienced, but also kind of vague and can kind of relate to different types of things. And then I'm kind of curious if it ever does, but I don't
Yeah.
know.
And so your friend taking notes, I mean, like what have they kind of shared with you that you're like, that's way off, or that's spot on?
I think I can't remember specifically, but I think certain times she's said like, "Do you say this?" or and I hadn't, but I thought it was cool that she thought I did.
Hmm.
or that meant, or she thought that I said something different, and um that it took on a totally different meaning for her.
All right.
Um, I think sometimes too, like she's a good friend of mine, so uh, she kind of knows what I've been through. So it's interesting to hear her perspective, knowing what it's about. You know,
Hmm. Okay. That's cool. Um, to kind of continue on with the theme about like, writing and like kind of why, we're gonna skip past headache and we're gonna go to summertime. So I don't really have anything like, specifically about this song. Like, when I do research, I try to find like, the writer of the song's like interpretation of what the song means or something, or like maybe something kind of um relative to the recording process, something that happened that was kind of interesting about it. But I just listened to this song and it just kind of like stuck with me for a while as far as this like, we just got through like Hellhole Rat Race, which is like this really compelling piece. And then Summertime is kind of equally this thing where I feel like it's just about the connectivity. It's just about like it's just a good song and it's just fun. It feels like relatable in a lot of ways.
let me look up the lyrics because that'll help me. I
Yeah,
don't
sure.
remember. I don't know the titles.
Okay.
It came up. Uh, Sublime, Summertime.
Oh, not that one. Though that is something I might actually end up talking about soon, which is weird.
Sublime.
Yeah.
How come?
Guy that I was going to talk to chose it as his album, and I'm like, huh, okay.
2 years ago, or I guess it was not last summer, but it was the summer before. I got to play guitar in this band, the Aquados, for like the last 2.5 weeks of their tour. And it
Oh
was
yeah.
opening Sublime and Incubus. And
Really? What the hell? How
it
was
was,
that?
it was the most insane thing of my life.
Um, how were the guys in Sublime? Wait, so this was Sublime with Rome, right?
Fun.
So what were those dudes like?
Super nice.
Yeah, that's great. It's good to know.
Yeah, really, really nice. Okay, yeah.
Um, so Summertime, yeah. I mean, like, so as far as the concept of like, writing a song that's compelling, that's like kind of relatable to other people, writing a song that is compelling and like kind of relatable, like, you know, that your audience will kind of connect to in a way. Like, do you feel like you've like achieved that yet, or are you still striving for it?
I think I think that's kind of always what I'll be striving for when I'm writing a song.
Yeah.
I think even if you achieve it in one song, like it's cool to still do it with like I feel like I'm not just like writing all these songs to achieve it once with this one song, I feel like that's kind of always what I want. But honestly, more I write songs more for myself than I do anyone else.
Hmm. Do you feel like you've ever written like a song that's just like that fucking song is perfect?
No.
Okay.
I
I mean,
don't I
so
mean I
is
don't
that,
know that I ever feel that way though.
I mean, like, so, like, as a music fan, I mean, I think there's probably a few songs I can like kind of glom onto being like, Jesus Christ, like, where does someone even come up with something like that? It's just so fucking amazing. Um, you never thought like you wrote a song like that you're like, that's just a fucking, great piece of work.
I mean, I've definitely thought that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
I mean, yeah, I think that all the time. No, I'm just, but
Well, I mean, we have to
no,
like our own music. I mean, like, otherwise we wouldn't do it.
I think I feel like proud of certain songs and feel like I'm like, but it's more about me. It's more about like, oh, I really captured that moment that I felt
Right.
and that experience in like, I don't know, I guess smart way.
Hmm. What about your audience? Has like an audience member, fan of yours ever approached you and been like, that song is incredible, and like that song is the one that like I can't stop listening to?
Yeah, that feels nice. I mean, Gymshorts wrote a new song, which nobody's really said that for Gymshorts that much because most of the songs are not like that, but I think we have a new song that's not released yet called PMDD because I was diagnosed with PMDD, which stands for premenstrual dysphoria disorder. And it's really fucks with your brain. And it's really annoying.
Hmm.
But I wrote a song about it, and a lot of people, I was surprised actually by the reaction for it, have come up and said, thank you for writing that song. And like, even like partners of people who have PMDD have come up and being like, I know someone, or my partner has this, and I can't believe you wrote a song about it. And I don't know.
Hmm.
So that's been kind of really cool to see the response. And it is a punk song, so it's also funny and kind of cool to see like guys in
Yeah.
the front chanting PMDD, you know. So,
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I don't know what that is. That's weird.
yeah, it's a weird thing.
Okay.
But it like takes up like 2 weeks out of every month, and you really don't feel very much like yourself.
Hmm.
It's disorienting.
Yeah. Okay. Weird. Well, I'm sorry that you have to deal with that. Um, but at least you got a good song out of it.
Yeah, that's all that matters.
Right. Well, I mean, it's nothing that's like debilitating. It's nothing that you're not going to be able, right? I mean, it's something that you kind of just kind of live with and
I mean, from what other people have told me too, it's like I think that it's not a spectrum of it too, but so sometimes it's worse than it is, but sometimes it's not as bad. But yeah, sometimes it's all right. Sometimes it destroys my vibe.
yeah. Is it something that will eventually work it like run its course and go away? Kind of like
Yeah, like with like menopause. I have no
yeah,
idea.
yeah. Right, right, exactly. I mean, as you get older, kind of like, the whole cycle process kind of starts
Yeah,
going away.
yeah.
Well, hopefully, I guess.
We can have another interview in like 20 years.
20
Touch
years. Okay. All right, I'll mark my calendar. 20 years from now.
base.
Um, all right, well, let's move on to Lauren Marie. So not that they're the same, but this song reminds me of your song Date Kate Jones,
Really?
who you happened to mention earlier, so I figured, oh, this is fitting.
Jay?
Uh yeah, just in the sense that it seems flattering to the subject, the
Yeah.
uh this song and that song. I mean, so who is Kate Jones? Is that a real person?
Yeah. She lives in Providence.
Oh,
She's a
okay.
great name. She's the best.
Hmm.
I lived with her for a sec. Um, yeah, she's great.
Okay. Cool.
She's a great musician too. You should look her up. Her project's Dr. Jones.
Dr. Jones. No Time for Love, Dr. Jones.
I
Is that the reference? Is it from the Indiana Jones?
think some people just call her Dr. Jones.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. I mean, the Indiana Jones reference is great. It's
I never,
hilarious. What's that?
I never seen Indiana Jones.
What? Why not?
I was too busy watching What About Bob?
Oh, okay. All right. Well, let's that's all I have for that song. Nothing else to really say about that. Morning Light, I was also gonna skip because I didn't really have anything about it, though
I,
it's the
I
best
don't know.
it's like the only ripper on the album, really.
Yeah, it's kind of a breath of fresh air at that point.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean it's good and it's integral to the album, but I mean as far as talking about it is concerned, I didn't really have anything. Um so then moving on to Curls, which is an instrumental song, which I think pulls like from a variant or like a variation of another song. I think it's kind of like a medley-esque.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a call to the other ones.
Yeah. But so Curls was the name of the band before it became Girls.
Really?
Yeah. So when I guess like when Christopher Owens moved to California, he ended up dating a woman named Liza. and she was a musician, and they started a band together, and they called it Curls.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and only so when they, I guess similarly, they broke up, and so she left, and he met Chet J.R. White, who then they changed the name to Girls, essentially.
I like girls better, I think.
I think it works. Girls is cool. I like it. Especially for a couple of dudes calling
Yeah.
them call their band Girls. It's great. Did Gymshorts have another name before Gymshorts?
Not really. I wish.
That was it. It was just Gymshorts was what it was.
Yeah, kind of. It was born, so when I met the people that, or when I met the person that I started with, um, he asked me to join him, or he said they were looking for a bass player for their band, which was called the Male Perverts. So that was the band that I joined. And I didn't know how to play bass, so I learned the three songs or whatever however many songs they played for show.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, it didn't really, we kind of started writing songs after coming up with the name.
Yeah. You're not male either, so that doesn't really work.
Yeah. But yeah, so we just came up with Gymshorts and it was kind of an offshoot of that other band.
That's weird. So because of your Providence connection, I didn't know if it was had anything to do with 94 HJY, the radio station and the announcer.
No, but okay, so that's Gymshorts on Sports, right?
Right.
So there was this other band, Sports, that was it's now called Remember Sports. So you might know them, but we played a show together at Aurora when it was still around, and I like really tried hard to get in touch with Gymshorts because I wanted him to come announce the show and be like, hey, it's Gymshorts on Sports with Gymshorts and Sport, like, but he never got back to me.
Yeah. That
Okay.
sucks. Can't work every time,
So if you're listening, Jim, you can
right?
still, you have one more chance.
Right. And so, I mean, it's funny because I think like he took the name too, like kind of like this jest thing, like because I don't his real name is not Jim,
Oh,
and
really?
obviously not Shorts. I like actually I heard his real name somewhere, like he broadcasts under his real name somewhere else, I think. So I think he kind of also just took the name Jim Shorts because it's like, well, I'm talking about sports,
Yeah.
and I can, have this fake alias as Jim, Jim, but it sounds like JYM or GYM,
Yeah.
Jim Shorts.
I mean, the idea originally was to like write punk songs for kids. Like that is kind of where we started.
Hmm.
Oh, we should write songs that kids could relate to that are like punk and like tour school gymnasiums.
Oh, cool. But aren't
Like
all
staying up.
punk songs for kids, really?
Yeah, but it was like staying up past my bedtime or something, like,
Yeah, yeah.
but then
That
we just kind of started writing some other songs.
right. Okay. Um, Speaking of that, the last song being Darling, Owen says his lyrics tend to assemble themselves in his mind as he strolls the streets of San Francisco before he rushes back home to record them to a computer or tape recorder.
Hey, that's
Uh,
like,
that's like you? Yeah. Oh, cool. So yeah, I was gonna actually just ask you, like, how quickly would you say lyrics come to you?
um, I think that most of the time, if I have the general idea of what I want to write this song about,
Hmm.
um, doesn't take very long. Or maybe like I'll do most of the song and then come back to one specific part, or I'll, change some parts of it later. But with Gymshorts, if I get an idea that I want to write the song about, it doesn't take me very long.
Okay.
But I have a lot of fun. Like, um, I try and make it funny.
Yeah, you
And
try to make it funny. I mean, that doesn't just come
yeah,
natural to you.
well, I mean, I just think of like, okay, what's the funniest thing I could put here, So I think, um, yeah, that feels more like a word puzzle or something, which is really entertaining and kind of exciting for my mind.
Hmm.
Um, and then with Greensleeves, kind of the same, but it's like, okay, well, how can I make this kind of the most meaningful and like poetic and kind of beautifully said in a way that feels like it hasn't been said before.
Hmm. Okay. So there's no like, considering what we were saying earlier about the Love You Funny single and how you kind of recorded two different versions of it for both bands. You don't think that there's a possibility that you would continue to do something like that? Like anything that Greensleeves releases, it could be converted to a Gym Short song?
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting pressure from from some people that I know that really like certain songs to make them into Greensleeve songs. I mean, into Gymshorts songs. But I sometimes struggle with how to really do that.
Hmm.
I think okay, so the Greensleeves music actually is what I had always kind of wanted to make from the start. I mean, it's like what came more naturally to me.
Hmm.
Um, but it was terrifying. And I don't think I could have ever started really there. It still is terrifying, but uh, I also I have this thing in my head. It's not rational at all, but I have kind of always felt like um, slower, softer music that everyone will think it's boring or not want to come see it, which is actually the total opposite. I feel like more people go see that those types of intimate shows where like it's really accessible music
Hmm.
and emotional. I feel like people really go see those shows and not so many people go see punk shows. But yeah, I don't know what it is. I have to get over it. But I really struggle with it. And I feel like it's hard for me even to play Love You Funny. I find myself even the Gymshorts version, at the Gymshorts shows, I find myself a lot of times like double or second guessing it, depending on the crowd.
Hmm.
Because I'm like, well, what if this totally kills the vibe? Or like, I don't know. I don't know where it comes from. It's
Hmm.
just stupid insecurity, I guess. But
Yeah, I guess so. Well, I mean, so you don't ever like commingle those songs. It's not like you would play a Greensleeve songs at a Gym Shorts show. So, I
no, not
mean,
really.
yeah. So, it's not like you would have to worry about. I mean, I see what you mean about, like a song like Love You Funny being performed by Gym Shorts at a rock show. Um, though I mean, I think it has a lot of the same intensity that a lot of the Gym Shorts catalog has, you know. Um,
Yeah, I think it's just because I actually like sing it
yeah,
rather than kind of
shouting, screaming.
yeah.
Huh. Okay. Weird. How do you feel about singing? I mean, like, obviously for Greensleeves, you're doing kind of more melodic and quieter versions of that as opposed to the screaming and shouting that Jim Shorts is. I mean, you think it's hard to sing in front of people?
No, no. I mean, I definitely get more nervous when I have to like sing nicely than I do if I'm like shouting. There's more room for error,
Hmm.
and I get more self-critical, I guess. If I'm like, I don't know, if I get afraid that I'm flat or that I'll be embarrassed by something that, somebody being able to tell that I'm nervous, which makes me more nervous. Stupid. It's a
Right.
waste of energy, total waste. Um, but no, I like it. I really
Okay.
like it.
Yeah. And so when you perform as Greensleeves, do you perform by yourself or do you ever have accompaniment?
I did for like the first three times, and I was a nervous wreck. And now my friend Johnny has been accompanying me anytime it happens, but it's been kind of rare.
Performing, you mean,
Yeah.
or having his accompaniment?
No, performing.
Oh, okay. So you don't have any plans to like gig or tour with Greensleeves?
Well, I have this whole other album that I recorded years ago. that I just kind of want to finish and kind of maybe rework and reframe so that it could be full band style, because I think that I would feel much more comfortable that way. And I think I'm starting to be able to rethink and like format them for that.
Hmm. Okay. So it's not going to be like an acoustic solo album.
I it elements of it, but no, I don't. I think I really would like for it to sound a little bit more. I mean, already it has a lot of different stuff on it, so it
Hmm.
doesn't seem like that really either. But I kind of want to make it bigger.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds great. I mean, there's a lot you can do with it without necessarily, changing them into punk songs,
Yeah. Oh no, yeah. I just want to make it like,
full.
yeah, so that I could play them with a full band and that they would be able to hear that. Because I'm not the best at communicating what I can hear in my head to
Hmm.
people, because I just don't have that language. I don't know the names of chords, which makes teaching songs to people really annoying.
Right. Okay. Well, so then, aside from Greensleeves, then Gymshorts, I mean, what's the plan for Gymshorts as of right now?
So Gymshorts also has right now I'd say we have like 7 or 8 songs that we've recorded already that I'm psyched on. It's just putting them out. Or I mean I want to figure out the best way to put them out.
Plus, they have to be recorded still, or they're already done?
Those ones are done.
Oh, cool. And I mean, so you have a few options for people that might be interested in distributing that for you, right?
Yeah, I hope so.
I think so. I'm sure you do. Um, and then so, I mean, so as far as touring is concerned, I mean, you've already done like two big tours this year, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah, so I'm sure we'll do, I mean, people like when you have something coming out, so that makes you more attractive, I guess, but I'm sure we'll do some headlining stuff around this summer and then hopefully we'll be back out in the fall.
Okay, cool. And any plans for Rhode Island or Providence?
Play?
Any plans for Providence or in Rhode Island in
Like,
general?
like play or just to visit?
Well, yeah, to play. I mean, visit, sure, but
I think close. I think maybe Boston,
oh yeah,
but yeah,
okay.
this summer.
Well, that's fine. I mean, like I said, I understand. So, as much as I would love to have you here and to be able to see you at my convenience, where I don't have to travel to Boston, um,
Well, we'll make it happen. We'll make it happen.
yeah. Look, I won't be a baby about it. Wherever you go, I'll do my best to be there.
Thanks. Okay, we can go back on the record now if you want.
Okay. Well, it was nice talking to you. Have a good day.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you later. No, honestly, I am going to get going, but
Yeah,
and yes, it is. It was great to have you on and to speak with you.
yeah,
Um,
for
I'm
having
surprised
me.
it's taken this long to get to meet you. So, but it was great. It was a great choice. Thank you for turning me on to it because I think it's actually a really great record.
Oh yeah, I'm glad you like it. And
Well,
thank you. I mean, thanks for being so thoughtful. And this is a really cool idea. And it's just been nice talking to you. And you have really cool questions.
thanks. I do my best to, do the research and to make
Hey,
it kind of
that
interesting.
taught me some interesting things about the record. That's for sure.
Yeah, and it's I mean I'm telling you, man, it's a weird dark record. Like in some ways it's like bubbly and like kind of typical California pop, but in some ways it's like very intimate and like personal, and it's relatable in a lot of ways, you know. I think that's what makes some music really great.
I agree.
All right, Sarah. Well, thank you again. It's been a pleasure
Thank
speaking with
you.
you.